What's going on, everybody? This is Moonshine talking. Welcome aboard. I'm Moonshine Dan, however you want to say it. It's been a minute since I've done one of these things. I've been on vacation. I went and visited my family in upstate New York, up in the Catskills, and it was cool. It was a good time. Figured I would talk about that a little bit. That's why I referred to this as my post-vacation info dump. Pretty much talk about a couple of news and notes things that came across my radar, and talk about my vacation, talk about a couple of things I did, because they were fun and people would enjoy it. But I guess I'll start out with, I officially go back to work today, so boo. But last night I went to the Brass Mug and saw United Forces, which was Billy Milano's SOD tribute band. Very cool stuff. Billy's a character. I mean, how he didn't become a stand-up comic at one point is beyond me. But yeah, very funny dude, very, very charismatic. Only trashed Scotty in a couple of times the entire night, but he was playing with the crowd, doing crowd work. They played the entire Speak English or Die album, and that was pretty much what they did. They didn't do too much else. It was a long night. I was still tired and kind of jet lagged from getting home the night before. A lot of the opening bands, while they were decent, there was one band who I forget what their name was, but they were pretty good. Very solid old school thrash band. There was a couple other bands that they were decent. One was called Three Knuckles Deep, and they were like in the vein of Mortician or Dying Fetus or something like that. And it was fine for what it was. And then there was another band after them who I didn't catch their name, and while they were very technically proficient, they had three guitarists, bass and drummer. One of the guitarists did the vocals. They did lots of syncopated guitar leads and rhythms and stuff like that, it was fine. And the vocalist especially, he had a little bit of a presence to him, some stage presence, the kind of crazy facials and whatnot. It was just one of those, they just weren't doing it for me, and a lot of people there seemed to like them. They seemed to be favorites of the local crowd, but it was to the point where it was getting to like 10 o'clock at night, and I was starting to look at my watch and see what the hell's going on, and how much longer before Billy and the boys are getting up on stage, so... But they finally did, and it was cool, and it was a good time, and the energy immediately picked up in the room. He was teasing some dude, Mike, the entire night. At one point, he asked if anyone had a joint, could we smoke some weed in here, and dude handed him one, and a couple of guys took a couple pulls off of it, and then they were trashing him the rest of the night, calling him a narc and a cop, and all this other stuff, and Billy making jokes about he might wind up dead tomorrow, and all you hear on the news is conservative activist Billy Milano, and just is very, that's the type of humor you get from him. They had to, at one point, the crowd had to pull their phones out and fact check him, because he was introducing Freddy Krueger, and he was insisting that Robert Englund was dead, and people in the crowd were trying to tell him, no, he's still alive, Billy, and he was like, no, get out of here, he's not. So then finally somebody handed him his phone, and he was like, oh, okay, well, whatever, and then he went off on some other tangent, but good time. If you get a chance, go check out United Forces. It was fun. I'm gonna post some videos up. My phone sucks when it comes to taking live footage, but I did the best I could, and did very, very modest filming as far as that went. So then, yeah, as far as other news and notes, sticking with metal, apparently Cathedral's got something coming out October 3rd on Rise Above, Lee Dorian's label. It's called Society's Pact with Satan. Apparently it's something that was recorded during the last Spire, and it was lost. It's lost footage, or not footage, but it's a lost recording. So they cleaned it up, did whatever they had to do with it, and that's coming out on October 3rd. And that's very cool. You know, I love Cathedral. They're one of my favorite Doom bands, so it's going to be very cool to hear some new music from them. Apparently it's 1.5-hour track, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it should be pretty cool, so I'm looking forward to that. Got a couple wrestling notes. Apparently Brock Lesnar has returned to wrestling, and the internet wrestling community has lost their ever-loving minds. They're just, I don't know, these people are weirdos. Some of these modern wrestling fans, I don't get them. I really don't. I don't know what their problem is. I think a lot of it stems from the fact that Brock Lesnar was named in Vince McMahon's lawsuit with his mistress, and I won't go as far as to say the broad he was shacking up with, because he wasn't, but his secretary, and he was sleeping with her and pretty much financing her and stuff like that. I frankly, you know, looking at all the facts and the trial data, or not the lawyer statements and all that sort of stuff, it just looks to me like it was some sort of gosh damn sugar baby, sugar daddy thing, and she's claiming he did all sorts of like foul, degenerate stuff to her, and I don't know if I buy all that. And then it somehow wound up in the sex trafficking is what they're accusing him of. Like he was sharing her with a couple of the other office fellas, Johnny Ace in particular. So I don't know what's going on there, but Brock got named in the lawsuit. Allegedly she was going to go sleep with him or pee on him or some sort of foul, degenerate nonsense that she's accusing Brock of wanting to participate in, and he never actually did it. Apparently, according to the filing, he got drunk and he never made it to whatever liaison they were supposed to have. So regardless, he went away for a while once all this hit the news, and now he's back, and all these internet idiots, weirdos are all freaking out about it. But Brock's a draw. He's one of the few draws that this friggin' industry and this company has left at this point. He's one of the few people that give it a proper big fight feel as far as when he's in there. And I watched something, and it's Brock. I mean, he does the same thing. I watched him last night. He hit his finish on a guy named R-Truth, if you're not familiar with him. And he ended up ripping his jeans, just split the whole back end out of him, and he was having fun with it. So he seems like he's having a good time doing what he's doing. He's paired up with John Cena, who's on his way out the door. So it should be pretty cool, you know, kind of like a collaboration of some of those OVW originals that came up into the business and developmental when OVW in Kentucky was there, and that's, you know, Cena, Orton, Batista, Brock, Shelton Benjamin, a ton of other really talented guys came out of that class from OVW, but those are probably the two, besides Orton, are the ones that are probably the biggest names to have come out of that group. I guess you could say Batista, but, you know, more so I'd say now, more because he's a movie star than anything else, or he's in movies, I should say. And then one of my favorite personalities in sports of all time, Ronda Rousey, was in the news again. She's sitting there running her friggin' mouth, and just, this woman she has got to be one of the most bitter, entitled, spoiled brat, idiot athletes that you could possibly imagine. If you're not familiar, Ronda Rousey, she's an Olympic gold medalist in judo. She ended up transitioning into MMA. I think she's somehow affiliated with the LaBelles, which, if you don't know the LaBelle family is, they're Gene LaBelle. He's a prolific judo player. He also did a lot of stunt work in Hollywood. There's tons of movies. I mean, he's in so many movies and TV shows and stuff like that. He's one of those guys where if you're an avid movie or TV watcher and you've seen enough of it, you've probably seen Gene LaBelle in it. He did a ton of stunt work. Allegedly, there's a story that he made Steven Seagal crap his pants on the set of one of Seagal's movies, but she's affiliated with them somehow through being in California and Los Angeles, and the LaBelle family used to run the LA territory back when there were still territories, you know, running out of the Coliseum and stuff like that, you know, but that's all, that's just a whole lot of information for no real reason. But she I don't know. She was just always overrated when it came to MMA, in my opinion. I always felt like they always stuck her. See, when they talk about people not being, when people talk about MMA versus pro wrestling, and they call that fake shit. Oh no, I like UFC. And it's like, do idiots really think? And I apologize for calling people idiots, but sometimes people are just they don't think. They just don't put enough thought into things. But if you really don't believe that MMA fights cannot be rigged in one way or another, between the refs, the judges scoring things shoddily, just simple matchmaking. It doesn't have to be necessarily rigged, but you can pad people's records. You can duck certain fighters. You can get lesser opponents to pad your record, and you could do that for an entire career and be considered the greatest of all time, and you didn't beat anybody. So in my opinion, that's kind of what Rousey did when she was in Strikeforce. She was constantly ducking Chris Cyborg and never fought her, and I think Cyborg would have derailed that hype train in an instant, and I don't think a lot of people wanted to see that happen, because while Ronda Rousey is mildly attractive, I don't consider her hot, and I don't know why everybody thought like she was just this amazing looker or whatnot. She was so marketable based on her looks, but they did, and then on top of that, I think the Olympic medal and all that sort of stuff. So I think there was lots of padding her record, very carefully selecting her opponents so she could either beat them very easily, which a lot of times she did, or even if there was some slight bit of pushback from them, it wasn't much. I mean, a lot of times a lot of people couldn't handle that level of Olympic level grappling, so she was able to throw people, get them in an armbar, and that was pretty much it. And then for all of his talk about never wanting women's fighters in UFC, eventually Dana White caves, and he builds the whole division around her, and she was obnoxious then too, fought a lot of lesser fighters. I mean, they pretty much wash, rinse, repeat. The whole styles make fights, and our matchmakers are going to put these specific matches together, which definitely favored her. So she padded her record some more. But then eventually, fast forward, not to go in the whole Ronda Rousey history lesson, she fought Holly Holm. Holly Holm kicked the soul out of her. And then she went and fought Amanda Nunes, who took whatever spirit was left of her, or whatever fighting spirit she had left, and she destroyed that. I mean, she came across fighters that were either at her level or better than her, and she got destroyed, which, in my opinion, I always knew was going to happen, because I've never been a Ronda Rousey fan. I've never been sold on her being the baddest woman on the planet and all this silly marketing, all these stupid gimmicks. So fast forward, she winds up in wrestling. Rowdy Piper gives her his blessing, and she starts doing basically the hot rod gimmick. And they give her friggin' Joan Jett as her entrance music. They roll out the red carpet for this woman. They had a whole match, which I'll kind of half-ass discuss because it's pertinent to what her comments were. They have her debut match is considered the greatest of all time. It was her and Kurt Angle versus Triple H and his wife Stephanie McMahon, and it was good. But again, anyone can be good if you spend probably a month, 2 months, 3 months rehearsing a match over and over and over again, and you've got Triple H and Kurt Angle, two of the best in the business, taking the lead on it. And even Stephanie is good in her own right. So of course it looked good. So, and that was one of the comments that she made as well. They devoted so much time while she was there because she had two runs. She had her first run and then she left, had a kid, came back, and the second run was abysmal. She was just terrible. And so this was what she was talking about, and talking about how, oh, they spent so much time devoted to Logan Paul, and they spent too much time devoted to the Bloodline, which is Roman Reigns and all the Samoan dudes on the roster, their whole little faction. It's like, yeah, that they're the draws. I don't know what to tell you, lady, but women's wrestling is not the draw that some people think it is. You get all these friggin' neckbeards and cave dwellers that follow wrestling now, and they're all like these weird, thirsty, just creepy dudes. I mean, you take any of the typical pejoratives, and that's what you get with a lot of these guys. They're just like, the women, and it's just like, ugh, what's wrong with you? You know, go outside, go do something, go develop a personality, go meet a girl. I don't know, do something, but it's just not the draw that people think it is. It's not as good. Women's wrestling just is not as good as the male wrestling, and that's not to be a misogynist and do all that. It's just not. I mean, there's just differences. There's lots of differences. I won't go too deep into it because I can see I'm already over the 15-minute mark just babbling about wrestling. So she's complaining about that, and that's what I just don't get it, because you're not the draw. They are. They're the ones putting asses in the seats, so of course they're going to spend time. Logan Paul is a celebrity. Much bigger celebrity than Ronda Rousey. He's much more recognizable. They're trying to cater to a young audience. Young people are on the internet. He's an internet celebrity, an internet personality. Whether you like him, don't like him, whatever the case is, you know, either way, it's invoking passion. People will pay money to see him either beat people up or get his ass kicked, you know, one or the other. So of course they're spending time with them over you, who at the same time is probably, based on the comments and other stuff I've heard, was an asshole. Just a complete obnoxious asshole of a person. Just spoiled, entitled, thinks everybody needs to bend over backwards for, and just an obnoxious human being. So then on top of that, she was complaining about working with one of the women's wrestlers, this one named Alexa Bliss, who, the worst thing you could say about her is that she's tiny. But she was complaining, Rousey was, because, oh, they stuck me with Alexa Bliss because she was the big merch mover. Do you not understand how the business works? You're hanging around, you've been around the LaBelles, Roddy Piper, Triple H, all these people, and you don't understand that you're going to get put with the people that are drawing the company money. And it's not a shoot. It's not UFC. It's not you going in there and kicking the shit out of everybody because you think you can. It's you go in there and you work with them to draw money for everybody. But she's an idiot, and I think maybe she's still having the effects of Holly Holm's shin upside her head, but she didn't get it and doesn't understand how things work. So of course they stuck you with her. So she was just complaining about this, that, and the other thing, and just long story short, Ronda Rousey's an asshole. She's just a dumb person. I really hope that she never returns to wrestling or MMA, because she is as useless as tits on a bull. And just awful, just an awful. And I've heard her, as you know, she shares her thoughts on like societal topics and things like that. And it's like, okay, you couldn't make me hate you anymore until you started talking about this too. So it's just like, she's, as they say in the business, she's got go away heat. So that's my thoughts on that. So on to my vacation. So it was fun. I'm from the Catskills originally, upstate New York. Very beautiful area. I took this little bit of video just to kind of show you where I'm from. It's in the mountains, and this is a view that heads into our little town, and it's very cool. People go hang gliding up there and all that sort of stuff, and there's lots of history to it, as far as like with the Native Americans, the indigenous tribes up there. There's all sorts of stories. Like when you go to our town and our local library, they've got a whole place that you can go to, a whole little museum where you can take a tour and they explain a lot of this stuff, and they would do it a hell of a lot better than I would. But as you can see, a very, very beautiful area. My family, born and raised there, went to school there, got to see a bunch of my friends, got to hang out with my dad and my brother and sisters, and just, had a good time. There was a local event going on, so a lot of the townies and people that we grew up with or were around, a lot of them were all there, and my dad got to talk to a bunch of people, and my siblings got to run into a bunch of people that they don't see much anymore, and it was fun. And I had to do like the Mr. Burns treatment. I had to do that, look at my siblings and go, who's that? Who's this coming up to us? And they'd explain to me whoever somebody was, because I'm home so sporadically, and I haven't been home properly. I haven't been in it for long term, and probably we're pushing like 30 years. So it's been a long time. I've been in Florida and Tampa most of my adult life, so it's kind of like the two worlds, if you will. But it was very cool. Watched a ton of baseball. I mean, I've watched more baseball this past week than I have in probably the past couple of decades. Growing up, I was a Mets fan, and it was kind of funny because I saw Barry from that Gold Medal show. He mentioned something about Davey Johnson had passed away, which, rest in peace, Davey. Davey Johnson is the man. He will always be the man because he was the manager of the 86 Mets. The 86 Mets won the World Series for New York. I am a Mets fan. That's how I was raised. In our house, you were either, it's one of those things. You're either Mets and Jets or you're Giants and Yankees. And unfortunately, some of my family have been traitors to the cause, so some of them have switched to the Yankees. But I'm a fan of the Mets. That 86 team I could go on for days about that team. I won't waste your time, but I could rattle off that entire team. Practically, that's how much of an impact it had on me as a kid, watching that, the freaking Bill Buckner and the ball going through his legs, and Mookie Wilson hits and starts the rally and leads to them eventually winning the World Series. Just killer stuff. I love that team. But they suck. The Mets suck. I watched, I want to say, 4 games. The first one I saw was Friday night. They played Cincinnati, and they barely won that one. And then the next 2, they just sucked ass. They were playing terribly. They couldn't hit the ball. The pitchers stunk. The manager stinks. And then I watched they had a series with Philly, and Philly kicked the crap out of them the entire series, to the point where the last game I didn't even watch, but I came home late at night after visiting a friend of mine. And I look at the TV, my dad's watching it, and I look, and it's like something ridiculous, like 12-2 or 11-1 or something like that. I was like, gosh damn, they stink. So anyhow, if the Mets were trying to get me back into baseball, that did not work. And then I watched a couple football games, and that was pretty much it. But one of the best things about going home was I took a trip to the woods of PA and Milford, and I got to go to the Realms of Rock. And many of you know Ed from the Realms of Metal YouTube channel here, and he's got his web store, Realms of Rock, realmsofrock.com, Squarespace. Very cool and he leveraged that into getting a brick and mortar store. So I told myself, whenever I'm home, I'm gonna go. I figure PA to New York isn't too bad, and I looked, and from where I live to where Realms of Rock was about an hour travel. So I convinced one of my siblings to take me. So my brother said, I'll take you over there. It's no big deal. And where in my mind, I'm thinking like we're going on the interstate through tolls and all this sort of stuff. We basically went through a town that I'm familiar with and rode over a bridge, and we were literally in Pennsylvania. And we were a couple towns over from Milford. So, and Milford's a cool little town, very rural, rustic. We were waiting for the place to open up, and my brother and I went to something called a water wheel. It was like a mill. some mill where they run the water. They have a water wheel, which you kind of see right here, and all those millstones and crap like that. So we were acting like proper tourists while with this all going on, but just waiting around for realms to open up. So we did that, and then hung around a little bit. We went to some friggin', my brother wanted to go into some antique shop, and I thought the friggin' floors were gonna collapse. They were so old, but no, it was fine. And then finally got to the time where the place was opening up. So we went, and in my mind's eye, my brilliant idea was I was gonna go there and just show up and surprise Eddie, because the two of us have never met in person, and we've had a couple near misses. But I figured, oh, cool, I'm gonna get to see Ed. I'm just gonna sneak up on him, and it'll be a big, hey, surprise. And well, surprise on me, because he's apparently got a day job, as you would imagine he would. And I was there on a Friday, I think it was. We went on a Friday, so I got to meet his wife. Got to talk to Ed on the phone. His wife's a very lovely woman. Gave me a bottle of water, which I appreciated because I love my water. And Ed was like, we were laughing about the fact that this is probably like the third, possibly fourth time where we've missed each other and just interact. But I told him, I said, I'll see you next time I'm up here. I'm not going to be a stranger to these parts. And I say that every year, and then I wind up, it's like 2-3 years before I go home. But I'm not going to hopefully have to deal with hurricanes next year or anything like that. But yeah, the place is real cool. You can see right here that it's a fun little store. Anything that you see on the website, you can get in person. A lot of shirts, a lot of collectibles. My brother was screwing around with the lament configuration. I was like, bro, put that down. You're gonna get Pinhead here, and the Cenobites are gonna kill us or whatnot. But yeah, it's a cool, fun little store. A couple people that I have interacted with online that have channels and whatnot, they didn't even know that Ed had an actual physical location. And yeah, it was very, very cool. It sucked that I didn't get to see Ed, but at the same time, it was cool to actually go to the place. And honestly, if you are in the area, if you're in Milford, what I would suggest is go to Realms of Rock, and then kind of like plot out your course, and you could go from where they are location-wise. You could go to Realms of Rock, and then you could go to Rock Fantasy in Middletown, New York, and you just make a whole day of doing some record shopping at some cool heavy metal stores, and Steve at Rock Fantasy and Eddie at Realms of Rock. I mean, you couldn't get much better of a day than that. So if you are in the Catskills, in the mid-Hudson Valley region, I would definitely go do that. I would recommend it if I were you. That's probably what I'm going to do next time I'm home. But yeah, it was a good time, and like I say, you could see that it's a cool little spot. I didn't take a lot of video or pictures or anything like that. I didn't do like a proper walkthrough or anything like that, like was suggested to me, but it was a good time. And then, all good things must come to an end, and my dad took me to the airport on Thursday, got home real late at night, and ran some errands on Friday, and that was pretty much it. And now it's back to work for me, unfortunately, but gotta pay the bills, gotta do what you gotta do. And yes, that was my vacation. That was my vacation info dump. Hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if you can see in the background, but I did a little rearranging yesterday just because I had a little bit of an accident, which some of you may or may not have seen. I put the plate tree through the wall, so I had to get that fixed, and it's looking pretty good. Here, let's see if we can see that. Yeah, you almost can't even tell that I did damage over there, but it's right over there. Yeah, put the stupid thing right through the wall. I wasn't paying any attention. I had my headphones on, and I took all the weight from one side off, and not accounting for the fact that the other side was loaded with like 260, 70 pounds of weight. So it just went boop right through the wall, so I had to get that fixed. I did most of it myself, but I think the maintenance crew that works at the apartments I live in, they came in and they did something to it, so I'm sure that's going to be a wonderful build. But nonetheless, so I did some rearranging around here, just moving some stuff around. I'm going to get a frame for, I still got to get a frame for that obituary poster, because that thing's kind of old, and I don't want it to get too, it's a little tattered, so I don't want to have that ruined, because I've almost done it a couple of times. But yeah, man, so that's that. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. You know what, I'm an idiot. See, I talked about going to Realms of Rock. Let's talk about what I bought there. Probably the main purpose for the video. So first of all, we got Give 'em the Axe. Lizzie Borden on Metal Blade. This is, as you can see, a white blue marble vinyl. I'll try to pull that out for you. You can kind of see that first EP. I just saw Dennis from Analog Archives and Jeff from Gas Masks and Hand Grenades. They did a video. They did a live stream about Lizzie Borden, and I can't remember the other band, but they were talking about them quite a bit. And I like Lizzie Borden. It's a very cool band. Next up, I got from Gods of War, Cadaverine by Eternal Rot. You've heard me talk about these guys before. International Death Doom project. Very cool stuff. Full disclosure, I haven't listened to any of this yet. Some of it I've heard before, but I haven't actually sat down and listened to these I haven't spun them on the player yet. This one I was very excited for. This was one of the ones I was like, I'm gonna get this while I'm home. That Canon and Fever. This is live at the Dark Easter Metal Meeting. I'm not familiar with what that is, but as you can see, this is beer vinyl, it's called. So I'll show you what that looks like. Yeah, very cool stuff. Canon and Fever is one of my favorite black metal bands. I know some people consider them more just like an entry-level black metal, but I really enjoy them. I enjoy the way Noise composes his songs and everything like that. Very much, I would consider them in the same vein as Black Braid, who I've been getting into a lot more recently. I spun that new album obsessively while I was home on my Bandcamp app, and I ended up picking up all their stuff. So they're a fantastic band as well. But really enjoy Canon and Fever, and you know, it was one of my top albums from last year. If you follow my stuff to any length. So now we'll head to Relapse, and we're going to head over to the land of the rising sun, Japan. We got a couple of coffins, some more Death Doom, Beyond the Circular Demise, and their album from last year, Sinister Oath. I've had my eye on this one for a while. Trevor from Fumes of Hatred had a copy of it, and I just didn't pick it up when he had it. I was trying to buy it from him, but then someone got it for me. But yeah, very cool band, excellent Death Doom if that's the sort of thing you're into, which I am. And yeah, now we got some Black Thrash, some Toxic Holocaust, Chemistry of Consciousness. This is a very cool album. Love Toxic Holocaust, one of my favorite newer bands, thrash bands. And the album itself is pretty cool looking. If I can get it out, you can see that. That is considered a custom color merge with Splatter Edition. I just love the artistry of not just the album, but the cover and all that stuff. That's good stuff right there. So I'm probably actually going to be spinning this as soon as I turn this off. And then a couple classics here. It has about some Massive Killing Capacity by Dismember. I'm going to talk more about this in an upcoming video, but yeah, this is just fantastic Swedish death metal. You can't go wrong with this. The album itself, let me see if I can't pull that out real quick. I was spinning this a little bit yesterday before I went to the United Forces show, but yeah, that's very cool stuff. And yeah, you can't go wrong with this one. I Saw Them Die, Casket Garden. Nina is one of my favorite instrumentals of all time. I love that song. I used to have I think I might still have it somewhere, but I have a dubbed copy of this album and that's what I've been listening to for decades, since probably '96. I was in a music class with somebody, and he dubbed me a copy of it. It was very, very, very cool. Threw on some obituary from I forget what the one with the Belituary. I forget what album that is, but he threw some of that on for me, and a couple other things. So very cool stuff. But now I have a proper pressing of Dismember. I have a good copy of it now, or like a good physical copy. And then finally, you can't go wrong with this. My brother says, "Hey Dan, isn't this band that you used to listen to all the time? They're still alive, huh?" I said, "Yeah," and I said, "Let me see that." And I looked at it, and I knew that these were coming out, but Ed had a couple on the feature rack up front, and I said, "Oh yeah, this one's definitely going in the pile." And you cannot go wrong with the Deicide self-titled. I just got this on CD recently, but it's the different version with the this is like the OG version that I'm familiar with my old cassette that I unfortunately got rid of many years ago. We won't get into that. And this is considered the metallic white and red Centurion pressing. Yeah, check that out. But yeah, this is without a doubt, to me, for my money, for my opinion, whatever that's worth, this is the greatest death metal album of all time. This was the one that's pretty much started it for me. And you can see there's the sleeve, the lyric sheet, just killer stuff. You cannot go wrong with that one. And yeah, that's what I got. I almost forgot to tell. I was just so busy babbling that I almost forgot to show you all what I picked up at Realms of Rock. But it was cool. It was a good time. Yeah, my vacation was good. So now I got to get back to reality and get back to work. So once again, hope you enjoyed it. Everybody, have a good one. Take it easy. Like I said, I got some more stuff on the way. I just got to kind of get my bearings back. I got to get my sea legs back underneath me as far as post-vacation afterglow. We'll see how long that lasts. And then, yeah, man, I'll do some more videos coming up here soon. I've been trying to keep up on new releases, but really there hasn't been a whole lot that's really spoke to me. I'm still waiting to hear. I heard Down, actually, they completed recording on the new album, so hopefully that'll be out before the end of the year. Super excited about that. Again, hoping for the new Electric Wizard, new Clutch. But beyond that, if there's not too much that comes out that really kind of gets my attention, probably start working on my best of for the year. And yeah, so that's the plan going forward here. But you know me, I'll pop on here with whatever nonsense that I feel like drawing attention to. So again, this is Dan, Moonshine with Moonshine Talking, saying stay sick, stay heavy, stay brutal, always tuck your chin upon impact. Don't forget to breathe. Everyone have a good one. Take it easy, and I'll catch you on the next video. Later.